Sorry about that. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this webinar on Charging Smart program, Accelerating EV Infrastructure Development in Northern Virginia. My name is Dale Medeiros. I'm a Senior Regional Planner for the Northern Virginia Regional Commission, Regional Council of Governments representing the 13 counties, cities, and towns of Northern Virginia. And I have the privilege today of introducing you to the work of Charging Smart, a no-cost recognition and technical assistance program that can help local governments like ours in Northern Virginia accelerate applications of electric vehicle charging. Charging Smart is modeled after the SolSmart program, which helped propel Northern Virginia's solar renaissance. Today, we'll hear from Ellen Harnett, Executive Director of the Virginia Clean Cities, and Thea Yargelainer, Senior Program Manager for the Interstate Renewable Energy Council. They will share their involvement with this program and give insights on how it can be applied to accelerate EV charging in Northern Virginia. A little bit about Ellen. Ellen's the Executive Director of the Virginia Clean Cities, which works on alternative fuel vehicle programs throughout Virginia. One key program of the community EV charging program planning and recognition levels based on lessons learned in SolSmart. Ellen joined Virginia Clean Cities in 2009 and previously served as the Assistant Secretary for Commerce for the Commonwealth of Virginia, supporting energy and environmental progress. Thea Yargelainer is the Senior Program Manager for the Interstate Renewable Energy Council, the organization also responsible for progress in so many communities with SolSmart designation. Thea joined IREC in 2024 after working for the City of Ann Arbor's Office of Sustainability. The webinar is going to last about an hour. After Alan's presentation, there'll be a question and answer session. If you have any questions, please park them in the Q&A box and we'll answer them chronologically. Now I'd like to turn it over to Thea.
Thanks, all. Yeah, I just wanted to give a brief introduction to the Interstate Renewable Energy Council, or IREC. So we are a small nonprofit focused on promoting a clean energy future. We have 3 branches of work that we work on across regulatory engagement, workforce development, and Charging Smart sits under our umbrella of local initiatives, which helps local governments adopt best practices around clean energy. Charging Smart obviously focuses on EV charging. We also have a similar program called SolSmart that focuses on solar, and a lot of great work going on with energy resilience in Puerto Rico. Charging Smart officially launched in nationally back in January of 2025. And we're very, very excited to see so many communities in Northern Virginia interested in Charging Smart. So I'll be here to answer questions as helpful, but I'm going to pass it over to Alan, who has some great information on the Charging Smart program.
Well, thank you guys all for being here, and I'm excited to be bringing this program forward. This Charging Smart activity launched in Virginia, and we have so many communities involved, about 30 communities involved statewide. And I want to, just the shorthand of this is we want to recognize the communities in Virginia that are already well along their way. Let's get these bronze certifications and recognitions out there. And then we want to help folks with the technical support. So we have technical assistance partners, including Virginia Clean Cities, ready to roll. I can see the screen, so I know that you all can see the screen, and I'm just so grateful to be here today. And apologies to anybody who is already also on the planning cohort. So we do have a cohort call that I also believe is later today. So keep your energy moving forward as we all roll forward. Next slide. I'm here with Virginia Clean Cities, which works with many municipalities throughout Virginia. We advance air quality improvement, economic opportunity, and energy security through the deployment of alternative fuel vehicles and infrastructure, education programs, and other activities. And so VCC has a team of 7 team members here in Harrisonburg, Virginia. A lot of community members working on Charging Smart or who had been tapped on the shoulder by some of our outreach teams might have been working with Bruce Vilk with our team. And so Matt Wade and I are filling in for Bruce Vilk, who actually has moved on from the program. Next slide. And I am just extremely grateful to be here with IREC. You've heard from Thea a moment ago, but I'll just share that the successful SolSmart program and integrating electric vehicles into SolSmart sort of vibrated the universe to the point where IREC was really interested in being sure to engage with this Charging Smart program, and I'm so grateful for for their good work. Thea, you're still here. Is there anything else you want to say on this slide?
I don't, Alan. Thank you.
Um, I just want to keep rolling through with the next slide to emphasize the workforce, local, and regulatory engagement activities that IREC is doing. And you've heard from Thea. You're going to have a chance to ask us questions later, but I'm going to keep going through to the next slide. And in this program, Charging Smart provides free technical assistance and reaches towards national recognition, where we would like as many communities to reach some core milestones of progress with electrification and have a uh, shared baseline of those elements, but recognizing local governments at a national level in the advancement of electric vehicles and in the advancement of charging. And a lot of this is a collaborative process. So it's for residents, for their own fleets, and working with our utilities. Next slide. Um, I I have just been very blessed with Virginia. We have so many SolSmart communities. Everybody who is exploring charging smart may also enjoy the SolSmart program. But this was the basis of local government recognition, local government collaboration, cohort planning that has led us into the Charging Smart process. So want to just emphasize that the Charging Smart strategies are all based off of learnings and growth from SolSmart. Next slide. And it's all part of this Energy Ready ecosystem at energyready.org. Technical assistance, recognition, and strategic partnerships over at energyready.org. Next slide. So here we go. We have launched the Charging Smart program, and I'm grateful that Virginia Clean Cities is a part of it, as well as other Clean Cities communities such as Tennessee, Colorado, Louisiana, Connecticut, and in North Carolina and in Texas. We are also now reaching nationwide. So the program is widely accessible. Some of the other key partners here are providing technical support and providing wide leadership engagement in transportation electrification. But this is made possible with a wide partnership and a wide range of technical support partners. Next slide. As well as industry partners. So you'll recognize EVgo and ChargePoint, Tesla, Dominion Energy here in Virginia, and Electrify America. Next slide. Electrify America and Dominion are both headquartered in Virginia. There's a lot of good stuff. So the Charging Smart program, we are going to be engaging in different areas, planning for electric vehicles infrastructure, regulation, and easing up on regulation where possible, utility engagement and collaboration with utilities for these big chargers, but also just uh, uh, all of these chargers, education and incentives, shared mobility, and then government operations, including we're going to be certain to work with government fleet vehicles. These are the action categories in the program. Next slide. And each of these action categories is a chance for communities to measure themselves, to meter their progress. And it's not to say that everybody should be going for this Charging Smart Gold, but it is to say that we start to measure our progress and then we work to improve on our progress and get redesignated. So encouraging folks to start at silver and bronze to get some more Virginia communities on the full reporting playing field. Each of the categories and the criterias that we'll work through are a space to earn points. The more points, the closer you get to gold. So, and the closer you get to exceeding gold. Next slide. And so just a general basic, and I don't want everybody to get lost in this slide or lost in any of these reporting spreadsheets and planning spreadsheets. It's really just to make progress on elements to rank where we are. And so for bronze, we're aiming for more than 80 points. This is specifically looking at things like zoning and permit application processes, just being sure that folks don't get stuck in the systems, charging infrastructure checklists, meeting with utilities. And then there are some categories such as planning and education where there's a requirement for 15 points. Next slide. And we just keep ramping it up from there. So including for silver, there is a requirement for utility collaboration. And obviously you saw Dominion as a partner on this. There's going to be plenty of utility partnerships allowable. And then the next slide. And so as we reach towards gold, there's going to be a lot of opportunities here, but you can see how install a public charger. A lot of municipalities in the region have already exceeded that. Engaging with the municipal fleet analysis, purchasing an EV. We've made a lot of progress in Northern Virginia. You do not all need to go for gold certification, but we've got plenty of opportunities for reaching towards that. And next slide. And so this is just a dive a little bit into EV permitting, which is an area of interest for Virginia fleets, but for Virginia communities. But standard permitting process and checklists, folks being able to find that information, permitting EVs as accessory use uh, or not creating barriers, streamlining permitting processes, enabling administrative or non-discretionary reviews, and safety design. Some great examples in Virginia were laid out 10 years ago as many municipalities put their permitting processes online. Next slide. And just a flag that we are offering technical assistance as well as uh, playbooks for best practices and implementation strategies and tailored support for communities at all levels. Matt Wade and I and Thea, we all want to catch back up with everybody. So if you are in the program and you haven't heard from us recently, we have these active cohorts, but we do want to loop back with folks of every community through the 30 we've got looking at so far, but we'd like to engage more. We want to be sure to have these tools help meet the community's adopted goals and get these plans fully implemented. And then additional tools in there for land use, for permitting, for a variety of different activities. Next slide. Program has obvious benefit because we're moving this technology forward in exactly the ways that people and policymakers and businesses and elected officials are all looking to achieve. Amplifying state impacts, balancing out challenges that we may have where state or federal programs, removing unnecessary barriers. There have been communities in Virginia where we've gone back and forth like a ping pong ball trying to install a DC fast charger. And so most communities are seeking the technology to get out there. So getting these barriers done, decreasing soft costs, and preparing for that electric vehicle market growth. Next slide. And then we want to celebrate and have everybody march around with a lot of gold, silver, and bronze recognition certificates from this program. We want to move Virginia programs through this and to symbolize that you're open for EV charging or that you are designated. This will also help in certain federal or community grants and showcasing your role as a community. So the next slide. A lot of Northern Virginia communities are already in these processes, and so I can catch up. We can catch up folks with where communities are, or create new processes for anybody that is inclined to start moving forward. We do have a technical assistance kickoff. We are using a web form for that. There's a self-assessment form, which has been returned by several municipalities, and we have a program guide. Next slide. And the core of this call is that Thea and I wanted to be here to answer questions, to engage in dialogue, and to get as many communities moved forward on either Charging Smart or the charging technical assistance pathways to get towards this shared future. So that was all that I had on the core slides. I've got some backup slides, but would love to no, and just skip the backup slides and just keep this up there for questions, and open it up for questions and dialogue, if that's all right with you, Dale.
Yeah.
And I'll say, in case anybody's popping in from DC or from Maryland, that this program is now launched nationwide. So our phase 2 of the program was to provide national access. So that's going nationwide.
For our participants, if you would prefer to be unmuted, just let me know. But Demaran writes, does the technical assistance include helping to identify the barriers to EV charging? I read that there's requirements for bronze, and I'm not sure that our current zoning folks are able to look at the code through that lens.
And
Alan, do you want me to take this one?
I was going to say, Thea, please.
Yeah, so as you saw, our designation levels all build on each other. So to achieve gold, you also have to complete all the bronze and silver requirements. So as we covered, one of the bronze requirements is completing a zoning review memo that doesn't require any changes to zoning code, but is a review of the existing zoning code and identifies what best practices are being aligned with and what barriers exist. So the question that we have here is the expectation that city staff do that, or is that TA that's provided? And the question is, we do that on a case-by-case basis. It really depends. Sometimes cities have planning staff that are very involved and have capacity and want to share, their understanding of their zoning code. And in that case, we'll look at city staff to kind of give us a first draft. But in cases where either that capacity doesn't exist or that expertise isn't available, either IREC or Virginia Clean Cities would help complete that zoning review memo. It's really a tool in your toolbox throughout your entire Charging Smart journey of understanding what are really high impact changes to the zoning code that you can make. So you want to make sure that that's a high value tool and deliverable for you. And so we'll help complete that if that makes the most sense for your community.
I have a question. Alan, in terms of true numbers, what would be an ideal set of not just charging stations that are set up, but the union of charging stations and EVs on the road? There's market trends that we see all the time, but I ask this especially in light of the changes in federal policy over the last 8 months. Right now, what would be a specific set of a general set of targets for the numbers of stations and the numbers of vehicles that that may have been set by the state over the last couple of months?
That is a great question. And so in Virginia, we have about 100,000 vehicles. And so there are some thoughts, 100,000 electric vehicles. And I thankfully don't have an instant answer with regards to that exact statistic, but it could be aligned with a per capita statistic for the number of publicly accessible chargers tied to vehicles, or a calculation that we do present to everybody onto our on our website through a administrative tool that through it's really a federal tool called the EVI Pro Tool Lite. This is a method to calculate how many EV chargers you need to service that population of vehicles. The suggestion that I would have would be to be gunning towards a 10% vehicle population in communities, which might be a 10-year effort, and to run those community calculations using the Northern Virginia drop down in that charging tool. Our metrics for Charging Smart are like a charger. It's to have municipalities leading with the first chargers. And as we move towards the hundreds of chargers or the thousands of chargers, and ultimately 1 million chargers in Virginia, for that 10% scenario, it will be, there'll be plenty of time to get there. More importantly, maybe is just helping people along the way, being sure that businesses can install those chargers. and start to be thinking a little bit about scale, but then that individuals and homeowners can install chargers or be able to access charging. And what is often the case in Virginia is that we have parking spots that are on our traveling corridor roads. So some permit process or encroachment process that would let people, just like they would put a mailbox on a rural road or a little library on a community road, to put a outlet within 20 feet of where they park their where they may park their vehicle. And so that did not directly answer your question, but the numbers for the numbers for vehicles and chargers are um, modeling towards like the first major milestone. Right now, we're about 1% EVs. The first major milestone will be 10% EVs. And you can model your charging planning eventually on servicing those EVs, which for the most part will be charging at home.
Do you see any trends towards level one, level two, level three that are noticeable within the state? And what do those trends reflect in terms of local governmental activity or potential to support one trend over the other in terms of um, developing stronger, more robust EV infrastructure in the state or in our region?
That is an excellent question. And so each one of these, practically every vehicle comes with the capability to do charging at level one and level two. The level one charging is a electrical outlet at home, just a 110-volt electrical outlet. If it's outside, it might be rated for GFI so that it could get wet, but just a regular electrical outlet. And um, those are very common. Level two charging for home and for workplace and for public charging is also very common. And those will be ubiquitous. Those will be on every block and every parking lot eventually. DC fast chargers, their start as a nation, we are starting to try to put those chargers every 50 miles to be sure that those chargers are approachable. But the private sector is already filling in and putting those chargers, within a few miles of each other for more charger access, especially in the Northern Virginia area. We were able to invest $16 million in public charging with EVgo, and a lot of those chargers are well dispersed through the Northern Virginia area. And then Electrify America, which is Volkswagen's program, they are headquartered in Northern Virginia as well. So these partners have been doing a lot of EV charging, not just in Northern Virginia, but all over for those DC fast charger corridors. Um, and it's going to take, for planning and collaboration, it will take both. You don't want to have a barrier for a homeowner to be able to install a level one or a level two charger, because they will then have to only rely on a DC fast charger if it's a faster vehicle. And then there's still a lot of plug-in hybrid vehicles in operation in Virginia, and those basically universally only charge at level one or level two. So the faster charging is really for the dedicated battery electric vehicles. Um, and so you're asking excellent questions, and I would be very happy to provide more context to any of these as well.
What about trends towards costs? Do we, for decades now, we've seen the progression or the decrease in costs for residential solar, for instance, or solar in general. I've seen similar trends even in light of the federal policy changes for EV charging station costs.
Yes. And so there was a brief period where there was some large federal incentives for charging, and that probably did increase the likely cost of chargers, because we were putting out 600 kilowatt capacity chargers, so four big chargers next to each other that had to always be up. Those programs, like the NEVI program, the National Electric Vehicle Initiative, um, a lot of those chargers are going to be on the $500,000 range to get some of those chargers in. And communities don't need to rush into that level of investment for every charger. The hope would be that the private sector or federal partnerships may return. The NEVI program was canceled briefly by executive order, but it is back, and hopefully those chargers will be installed every 50 miles on some of the major traveling corridors like 95 and 66.
On slide number 17, you talked about technical assistance. I was just wondering whether you might walk us through a couple of stories of how that's been applied, maybe to communities like Leesburg or Fairfax or Alexandria. What did the technical assistance look like, and what might our local governments expect maybe in the future if they make a request?
I would like to put Thea on the spot to talk about this in just a moment, and I will share that Bruce Vilk with my team had been providing and organizing a range of that technical assistance along with the other technical assistance partners here. I'll tell a story that we are working with a community on curbside charging protocols. First, sharing with them content that might be helpful to them from other communities, and then working to deliver a white paper on their progress so that they can have a little bit more also in their in their corner. I'm not going to name that community on this call. They can talk about it more on a cohort call. And that is one thing. We have a lot of communities that are involved in this that I'm encouraging to speak up rather than me naming them in their point of progress. But Thea, are there other technical assistance stories that you can share?
Yeah, absolutely. So we went through the Charging Smart criteria, which are designed to be high impact. Alan shared all the Charging Smart partners that we have, the industry partners that we have. All those partners gave great input into what are high impact best practices that communities should be adopting. So a lot of the technical assistance that we do provide is helping communities achieve those actions, doing things like zoning review memos, doing things like helping them understand what their permitting process is and how to document that so it's clear and accessible for the public, helping do initial fleet analyses. So lots of things aligned with those, criteria that Alan ran through. But Charging Smart is also very flexible. It's a menu-based program. It's meant to meet communities where they are. If there are questions that communities have that don't align with criteria, if they have going for bronze, but they want help doing, some gold actions, we're happy to help there as well. And then we also have specialized technical assistance available. RMI, previously the Rocky Mountain Institute, is a partner with Charging Smart, and has also dived into some more in-depth questions. RMI developed a infrastructure modeling tool. Dale had a question before, and how do you know what types of chargers you need in your community and where? And RMI has developed a tool for Charging Smart that helps evaluate at the census tract level, community level, county level, utility level, as detailed as you want to get, what level and type of chargers are required at those different geographies. And so we've had communities work with RMI to understand, as they plan out their public charging, where should those be located? Where would they be highest impact? Where would they be most aligned with their community goals? So we've had a wide variety of questions that we work with communities on, ranging from helping get a website up to doing initial fleet analysis to really getting into the weeds, making zoning changes and helping put together future looking plans. So it runs the gamut. I do see we have a question in the chat that says, is the program now extended to DC and Maryland? And yes, Charging Smart is a national program. Alan shared the list or this slide with tons of logos of partners that we have that are helping provide technical assistance across the United States. So while Virginia Clean Cities is working in Virginia, we do have TA partners that are active in DC and Maryland, and we're happy to connect you with them. So feel free to reach out to my email if we are showing the slides after. We can get you connected with someone to learn more about, if Charging Smart is a good fit for you and how to get started.
Superb. Anybody with any other questions? Any parting thoughts, Thea or Alan?
I'll just tease that there's an active group of really wonderful people in Northern Virginia that are working on this, and so would be happy to dialogue one-on-one about that. But just want to thank Northern Virginia for being leaders in this technology. This is going to help our community members in so many great ways. And also, I'll just pass another thank you. Thank you to Dale and to celebrate Bob's retirement. And then also a shout out to Hannah. It was good to be in Fredericksburg this weekend. So glad to be in this world with everybody and to showcase. There's a big old electric school bus there too from the community. So very, very great to be in this world with everybody.
Last chance for any among our participants or attendees to ask a question. Otherwise, I'll turn everyone loose for lunch.
And Dale, would you be willing to just reshare the program link, which I'll just emphasize is also on the NVRC website,
Of course.
into the chat?
Of course, and the slide deck as well. Thea, thank you so much.
Thank you all for the time today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.